Welcome to Race Control in Alicante. Leg 9 of the Volvo Ocean Race is underway. And on today's 1300 Daily Show, we're going to have details of our competition, a signed cardboard cutout of Bauerbecking for you to win. Plus, we're going to be talking to Stu Bannatyne on Dongfeng Race Team, as well as Bianca Cook on Turn the Tide on Plastic, as well as race expert Sam Matson joining me here to explain just what is going on with the huge split that we are seeing out on the water. So let's take a look at that right now. These are the live virtual positions at the moment. Two groups, one to the north, one to the south. At the bottom, we have got Team Brunel as the new race leader, but they've got a little bit of company. The Dutch boat has got their fellow countrymen with Team Axonabel in second place, and then Vestas 11th Hour racing right alongside them. A little way back, Sun Hunkai Scallywag with a double jibe, but for the moment, electing to stay with that southerly group. To the north, we've got three boats, as well as Mafre, the overall race leader. They've been suffering a little bit with a little bit of light winds as Dongfeng Race Team also losing the pace, and Di Kafari on board Turn the Tide on Plastic pushing out ahead. A big split on the racetrack, something you don't normally see, and Blair Tuke on board Mafre certainly agrees.
We've just got the skid come through, and we've stayed in roughly the same water as Dongfeng, sort of 30 miles up here, similar distance to the finish, but the other guys probably didn't jibe and have got the still sort of the old breeze. They haven't gotten this came out the front too much, and they're like 80 miles or something. So it's a massive split, 24 hours into this leg. I mean, 8-day leg, you know, the whole way around the world. And 24 hours in, we're normally all inside each other within a few miles, and here we are, you know, Turn the Tide's on 100 odd miles that way, and these guys are 80 miles that way. So yeah, she's all on.
So on day two, a big split, and this is how it started. Turn the Tide on Plastic were the first to jibe away, followed by Dongfeng Race Team and then Mafre shortly after, as the other four teams continued to push southeast. And the breeze stayed with that northerly group, and the speeds were good in the first few hours. Then things got a little bit tricky, especially for overall race leaders Mafre. They suffered a huge shutdown in the wind and at times struggled to make any headway to Cardiff at all. There was even a moment where the boat was sailing back towards the start in Newport. Dongfeng Race Team to the north didn't fare much better either, and Turn the Tide on Plastic were closing down of them on as the Chinese teams were trying to find any way, any breeze at all to fill their sails. 5 hours of waiting for the wind, difficult for the sailors and very difficult for the navigators as well. Tricky conditions and really tense times. Would that early jibe pay for them, and would the breeze come back? Well, it didn't stay light for long, and now that northerly group is back underway. Mafre got the speed back to them along with Dongfeng Race Team, but one boat that didn't seem to suffer at all was Turn the Tide on Plastic. They have now got themselves into a position where they are leading the northerly group. Bianca Cook on board, certainly happy about it.
It's actually quite nice sailing at the moment. We're just sailing along with the J1 and our main at the moment. We thought we could get the staysail in there for a little while, but we're just sailing a little bit too high. We've got Dongfeng to leeward of us, which is nice. We're hanging out with the red boats, so that was nice to wake up to.
It must have been very good news being the first boat to jibe. You'd taken on a bit of risk.
Yeah, we did take a little bit of a risk, but we just managed to fall off the back of the other system, so didn't really have much of a choice but to kind of jibe up this way.
And the breeze hasn't remained consistent for you guys in the north. The boats in the south did have some pretty good runs. Was it nerve-wracking seeing those position reports coming in?
Always. It's always pretty nerve-wracking, yeah. Last night we had some pretty shift, which was quite painful, but we managed to work it quite well. You know, we're up with the red boats, so it'll be interesting to see how soon the boats down to leeward, how far away they jibe, because once they start coming up, it'll be interesting to see how close we are.
Bianca Cook on board Turn the Tide on Plastic, currently leading that northerly group with Dongfeng Race Team just behind them. And on the Chinese boat, Stu Bannatyne got in touch and sent us an update about what was going to pay looking ahead.
So right now we've got a fairly shifty, puffy breeze of between probably 11 and 14 knots. We're just sailing along sort of a fast upwind mode with full main and J1, full stack, full keel. So pretty pleasant sailing, really. We've got Jack and Marie just in front of me here, just working Traveller and main sheet, and the jib every now and again, just to keep the boat nicely powered up. Try and minimise the amount of steering I have to do. We've got a bit of an awkward swell running here at the moment as well. So we are working hard, as always, to get the most out of the boat.
So, Stu, we can see you on the helm at the moment. It's been a bit of a tricky last 24 hours for you guys.
Yeah, it certainly has. It's been a bit of a minefield out here, to be honest. Combination of some pretty strange wind patterns and the Gulf Stream sort of meandering its way across the ocean have combined to make things very tricky for us.
And you made the decision to jibe off with the earlier boats. You've arguably caused this big split. Can you explain to us what the game plan is?
So the idea is to hook into some bigger breeze and hopefully come out ahead of the boats that have carried on in the south. They're going to have to sail possibly a couple of 100 miles further than us. Obviously they're going a lot faster right now, but obviously the plan is that we come out ahead of them.
Was it difficult to jibe off and leave that ridge of pressure behind?
Oh, for sure. It's always tough making a decision like that. Particularly as the southerly route, you know, they've carried on with really good breeze and nice warm water, but they still have a lot of work to do to get north. So I guess it's sort of in the hands of the gods a bit now as to which side will pay off.
Stu Bannatyne on board Dongfeng race team, and I've got Sam Matson, race expert here, to try and make some sense of what we're seeing on the race course with this enormous split. And with Blair Toot was saying at the top of the show, it's pretty unusual this early on to get a split this big.
Yeah, absolutely. It's around 280 nautical miles. It's massive. Not a big surprise, though, for this Northern Atlantic crossing. The weather systems here are moving super quick. They've got to try and decide when they want to drop off the front systems and move on and try and wait for the next systems to catch them up.
All right, so when can we expect the split to sort of run its course? When are North and South going to come back together?
I mean, that's a great question. Ultimately, Cardiff is up towards the northeast, so we expect to see them start to converge around this period here, just off the ice exclusion zone.
Okay, and so they're sailing very much apart, over 200 miles, as you were saying, and the conditions couldn't be more so. I mean, take a little look at this. This is footage that's come in from Team Axonabel this morning. They have been absolutely blasting along in some great breeze. Now, down there, they've got Sun Hunkai Scallywag, Vestas 11th Hour Racing, and Team Brunel currently leading this leg for company. I mean, their speeds have been up over 20 knots. They've been putting in some fantastic runs, over 520 nautical miles. They've certainly been enjoying things over the past. But looking ahead, what's it going to be like for those southerly boats? Is it going to stay this good for much longer?
I mean, yeah, they've been sending it for since the beginning, really. But ultimately, they do have to get off the back of this cold front here. Once they get off the back of that, that's when things will start to get tricky for them.
Okay, and what about for the northerly boats then? We've seen them in light winds. How long does that sort of continue for?
Well, at the moment, they're getting hunted down by this high pressure system here. This is what's giving them the lighter breeze, things like that. This is actually going to keep passing over them. And if we move on a little bit further, you'll see, obviously it wasn't the light winds they were setting up for. They want to be the first boats to reach this new breeze, the southeasterlies, and this is what's going to carry them all the way up towards where the boats are going to converge.
And that new breeze, that little bit of a rolling forward in the forecast, that's a wind angle that does not help the boats in the south.
Nope, so whilst these guys are sailing fast, reaching all the way here, these guys, upwind. Slow, potentially quite breezy at times. These boats don't go particularly quick upwind, so this is the time that the northern pack could begin to gain.
So big decisions need to be made by the navigators, and we know Simon Fisher on board Vestas 11th Hour Racing is weighing up all the options.
Yeah, it's been a bit crazy because we're still on the front that we expected to get dropped off on the first night. So yeah, things are pretty interesting. And it's actually getting to the point now where we're going to have to decide when we get off this train. But obviously, if you get off too early, you'll drive north and you'll stop, and the boats with you will carry on and maybe keep under pressure. If you go too late, and you're actually sailing too many miles. So today will be an interesting day because it'll kind of be crunch day for deciding how we transition into the new breeze.
All all the tacticians and navigators weighing up some very important decisions coming up in the next few days. But now it is time for details of our competition. Bauer Becking is joining me here to try and tell you exactly what we need from you. It's a pretty simple question, really, because it is a signed cardboard cutout of the skipper of Team Brunel, signed by the man himself. This question is going to be about Team Brunel, and all we want to know is how far will Team Brunel sail in a 24-hour period. We have chosen the 24-hour period. We're going to do 1900 UTC on Thursday. That's when we're going to start, and then 1900 UTC Friday, 24 hours later, that's when we're going to stop. How far will Team Brunel sail? But there's a little bit of a twist. Our cardboard cutout here is about 1.8 meters tall. That is a Bauer Becking. So the question is, how many Bauer Beckings lying down end to end will Team Brunel sail? Have a little look at this graphic here and we're going to talk you through it. So as I say, Bauer Becking, roughly 1.8 meters tall or 0.009 nautical miles. Now, Team Brunel's last 24-hour run was about 500 nautical miles or 514,444 Bauer Beckings. Well, that was in good breeze. That was sailing pretty well. Well, have a look at the weather forecast for Thursday. Do you think it's going to be more than that? Do you think it's going to be less? The way you enter could not be simpler. You can enter from now all the way up to the moment that we start the stopwatch at 1900 UTC on Thursday. You can enter as many times as you like on Facebook, on YouTube, in the comments, using the hashtag BB, and then the number of Bauer Beckings that you think Team Brunel are going to sail in that 24-hour period. And it is a very exciting time for fans of Team Brunel. They are leading this leg, and with Mafre and Dongfeng race team in 7th and 6th at the moment, on a double points leg, if the boats finish in the positions that they are right now, Bauer Becking and Team Brunel will be our new overall race leader. Early stages in this leg, but it is a short one. You are going to want to keep your eyes glued to the live tracker, keep your eyes on those northern and southern groups, and see how this race is going to play out. We're going to be back tomorrow morning with a quick fix, and then at 1300 UTC, we've got another daily show. We'll see you tomorrow.